Did you know that your politics might say a lot about your eschatology? First off, you might be wondering, what does eschatology mean? Eschatology is a fancy word that means study of the last days. It's the Greek phrase escha, and of course we know ology means study of. Eschat is from a word which refers to the last things or the last days. And everybody knows or thinks about this subject when it comes to their faith. We just might not use that term for it. But eschatology is the study of, or the theories and the different opinions and the thoughts about when Christ will return, and what the church is going to face before or as things begin to unfold. Now, we've talked about that a lot, and every Christian, I think, has been around for the last 20, 30 years, especially living through the turn of the century and all the different things that came along with that. And we always bring up the end of days or the last days. But I really think there is this undercurrent of our church's conscience today, that whether we think about it or not, or whether we talk about it in this language or not, our political engagement and our response to politics and our emotions around politics actually says a lot about our eschatology. And we might be surprised that our politics may suggest that we have a different view of the last days than we would confess otherwise. So let's break this down. There are several views of the end of times or the last days. Now, we generally, all Christians, believe that Christ is going to return at the end of days, and he is going to separate the righteous from the unrighteous. He is going to take his church, and he is going to reward them, and he's going to reward us, and he's going to put us into a kingdom. And most everyone believes that there is going to be a joining or unification of heaven and earth. Just people disagree about how this is going to happen. Now, we know the book of Revelation talks about a millennium. The Old Testament refers to this peaceful time on earth where the Messiah rules from Jerusalem. And we believe that we generally believe and talk about a millennial reign of Christ. Now, there are some groups that believe this is figurative. There are some groups that believe this is not really a specific, literal 100,000 years reign, but generally referring to the time of peace that's going to come in the end. But there are others who believe that the millennium is not so much a physical time where Christ is going to be ruling from beginning to end, but it's really a time period in which the church is moving closer to the restoration of all things and the return of Christ, and really the unification of heaven and earth. So you've probably heard of these different views, amillennialism or postmillennialism. Really, in the old days, these were really interchangeable, but now they're not so much. Amillennialism believes that, or refers to the millennium as just completely figurative. That the church is living in this time where we are slowly moving towards the restoration of all things, but there's really not a set time period. But the post-millennials, they believe that the church has been given a mission to slowly take back the earth, slowly inch away and chip away at restoring the earth. And over the last, 100 years, 50 years, in America, there has been this kind of idea within the church that we are the generation that is going to take this world back for Jesus. And we are going to engage in politics and use our political platforms to help subdue the earth for the glory of God. And there are some church groups that are very overt about this, but there's a lot of Christians who don't realize that their politics suggest that this is what they believe, that we must be in control, and that we must be in completely influencing our society. We must be making an impact on society in such a way, not that we're winning converts for Christ, but that we are dominating culture, that we've got to have our commandments hanging up in the courthouses. We've got to have our faith being taught in schools. We've got to have, we've got to be in positions of power in government, and we've got to, just subdue the country, not to win believers over, but just to kind of rub it in the world's face that, hey, we're right, you're wrong. Get in line. Eventually, you're going to be done away with, but you can either get on board or not. Now, the problem with that, when it comes to the Great Commission, is that is not the tactic that Jesus teaches the church should take, and that is not the strategy that Jesus or in the apostles gave us in the New Testament to follow. The New Testament teaches us to endure and to we're going to live in a world that is not on our side, that is not advocating for us. We're going to be a contrast from the darkness that surrounds us. We're going to be a light in the darkness. Peter and Paul talk about to the church that is in the Roman Empire, and Revelation talks about how that Roman Empire continues throughout time as this beastly kingdom that opposes the people of God and forces the people of God to take a stance and to choose one way when everyone else is choosing another way. The New Testament presents the Great Commission as the church being a light in the darkness, the church being an alternative, the church being living a morally superior life in winning disciples or making disciples and winning converts by being that remnant who stand out in a world that is morally decaying. There is no conquest in the New Testament. There is no subdue and dominate and take control in the New Testament. There is a navigating the path of life. There is a going into the breach as the door opens. There is making a difference as you can in a world that otherwise isn't going to be won. But there is no dominance. There's no conquest. There's no, hey, we're going to take the power. In fact, the New Testament is all about not having the power. The New Testament presents Christians as being the opposite of in power, but as in enduring and suffering at the hands of those who are in power. Now, I'm not saying that is what we dream of suffering and that we delight in trials. Of course, the New Testament teaches that we should delight in trials, that we should glory in sufferings, that we should count it joy in sufferings. But here's the thing. A lot of us Christians who would confess that we believe that the millennium is going to take place at the end of this age. There's going to be a tribulation period. The church is going to be taken to be with Jesus, whether you believe it's at the beginning of the tribulation or at the end of the tribulation. Most evangelicals would confess we believe in a tribulational ending to this earth, and then the millennium will take place after it. We don't believe, evangelicals would not confess that the church is ever going to be in a position of political dominance, and that's not even the strategy that we would ever chase after. Yet, our political posture and the way that we react to politics suggests that we think that that's exactly how it should go. We may confess that we are premillennial in eschatology, but our politics suggests we are postmillennial. Our politics, or the fact that we are so scared that if Christians are not in control, that suggests that we are not premillennial, that we don't believe in what the New Testament teaches. So I'm not trying to pick on anybody for being afraid of the way of this world and the cultural drift and how, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody who wants Christians to be in power and to be in influence. I'm just trying to make us think and ask the question, what do we really believe? Do we believe what the New Testament teaches, that Christians are going to endure through a progressively evil world, and we're going to be lights in the darkness, and it's going to get darker, so the light must get brighter, and that we're going to be a witness to the world by contrast? Do we believe what the New Testament teaches, or do we believe what this postmillennial viewpoint is that says that Christians are going to take over and that we're going to dominate and influence and we're going to not win disciples to Christ, but we're just going to be in power? And eventually all the evil people are going to die off and be judged, and we're just going to end up being in control. If you believe that, then hey, that's what you believe. I don't think it's New Testament. I don't think it's biblical. I don't think you can read Revelation or any of the New Testament letters and get that. You can string some Old Testament passages together and you can hold the Bible sideways and you can come to that conclusion. But that is not the approach that Jesus, Peter, Paul, John present to us in the New Testament. That is not the way that the Bible teaches. So we believe in a premillennial, you know, church age that ends and tribulation period and then the millennium. We believe in that. But the way we react to politics and the way we get kind of nervous when the other side's in control and the way that we sort of insist that, you know, even if you don't believe what we believe, then we need to kind of, you know, you need to kind of sit back and let it. And the reason I'm mentioning this, the reason I'm talking about this is we get so up in arms and we get so frustrated, we get so overwhelmed when we aren't winning, and we get so downtrodden and disheartened when our people don't get elected, and when evil continues to persist, and we get bummed out because, you know, hey, they don't want our Bible being taught there, and they don't want our scriptures being posted there, and they don't want, you know, to comply with our view of life and our view of marriage. We get so bummed out when all that stuff happens. And I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't stand for the truth. We should. We should be witnessing to people for Jesus. We should be making disciples. That's how you change the world. That's how you change people. But we're never gonna move the needle when it comes to the powers that be. They are beasts. They are beasts, and they do beastly things. And they oppose the Lamb completely. I'm not saying that good people can't get in office, and I'm not saying that good things can't happen, but the way of the future is a church that endures, a lamb and his people who are suffering and who are enduring to the end. That's the way that's what Revelation teaches. That's what the Bible teaches. That's what Christians should understand. So I want to encourage you, as you look at politics and you get frustrated about, hey, what's going on, don't set your hopes on Christians taking over and being in control. That's not even what the Bible teaches that we should be after. The Bible says that you and I should be lights in our world. We should be witnesses. We should be loving our neighbor. We should be living the moral truth out the Bible teaches. We should be difference makers. We should be the people of God. That's how we win people over to Jesus. It's not about power. It's not about conquest. It's not about dominance. It's about leading people to Jesus and teaching people this world is coming to an end. And the powers that be, they are beasts, and they are going to war with the Lamb. The dragon is going to breathe fire hotter and hotter until the very end. But the Lamb that was slain from the foundation of the world, he stands on Mount Zion. He is in control. And we, his people, with his name on our forehead, we are saved. We are secure. We will suffer. We will be looked at as if we are obscure and we are the bane of the world's existence. We may not be in power. We will not get any more power. We will, though, have victory in the end. So check your eschatology, and maybe that will influence your politics, and maybe that'll take the fear away that the politics often brings to us, and maybe it will be replaced with peace and certainty that we are on the winning side. Whether we are in power or not, we know where the power is. We know who's in control over all, and that's what counts. So I hope this has made you think a little bit. Hope you dive into the scriptures for more and more of God's revelation about how we as the people, his people, can endure and be a difference maker in a world that rejects him more and more. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.